Imagine the enemy is taking over and you're in the trench with your brothers and you're holding your rifle. Mortars raining down, tanks coming in. And you're sitting there in the trench and you look over and you see a man playing with his tits. What are you doing in that situation? Or he's adjusting his makeup. Or he's fixing his tampon. You see how this sounds? As far as I'm concerned, if someone's going to serve in the military, gender should be the last fucking thing that they care about. In fact, I'm more so convinced that if someone is transgender and they are in the military, it's more for a statement rather than to actually do anything in the military. And I'm just saying, if I was in a trench and I look over and I see a fucking dude wearing a wig, because the other side done won already. They infiltrated our soldiers. They infiltrated the mind.
Or how about this? Imagine you go to the locker room and you're about to shower, but there's just one odd person out that for some reason surgically got tits on their chest.
You're going to act normal? They went out of their way to get a surgery to make them appear differently, not just differently, the other gender. I don't even go to the doctor for when I'm feeling like I'm going to die.
Man, me neither.
And they're going specifically getting surgeries to make them look like another gender. Gender is all they care about. They don't care about making the world better or inventing new things to help people in impoverished areas or make things economically better for people or anything, not create new jobs. They literally only care about making their reality better, which their reality can only exist if you deny yours. How have we gotten to this point where you're basically handcuffed to where you can't say something? The thing is, you can say something, but you've mentally put yourself in a prison cell, I would say. You've put the shackles on yourself. And if you say, oh, well, if I said something about this, my job would fire me. Isn't that convenient? Now your job has to tell you how to think in order to be employed there. I thought I just had to show up and do my job. Oh, now it matters how I think.
Well, how about this? This is also very terrible for America in general. And the reason I say that is because things represent us. We seriously have no type of foundation. Think of how many innocent business owners just lost their homes for something like BLM. And these people were just doing it for their own greed. They weren't earned anything. They just stole from other people.
Isn't that building back better?
Right. It doesn't make sense. And then you have to consider the fact of people surgically going to get things removed off of their body to appear different, to hide from an identity that they wish they didn't have for some reason. You're literally giving them a machine to go over that mental block. You're forcing them over it in some way, shape, or form. You're just giving into their bad habit.
Why is the suicide rate the same, if not higher, when someone transitions? I thought it was fixing them. You give them what they wanted, right?
Most of them regret it.
So if a child came to you and said, I want 5 pounds of bubble gum, would you give it to them? That's what they want. And clearly, if you gave them that, it would make them happy forever, right? They would never get unhappy again. Or if, like, you saw a drug addict and he was underneath the bridge and you happen to walk by and he says, hey, man, can you give me $10 so I can just get a hit of heroin? You're the person walking along and going, I am going to get you a hit of heroin, because if you get that hit of heroin, that'll cease your appetite for heroin and you'll just stop doing it after that. Okay, here's another way I can put it. Let's say someone, when they get mad, they like to punch things. So you, being the smart person you are, I shouldn't say smart person, but I say that facetiously, you'll see why. You think, oh, I'll just give them a pillow so that when they get angry, they'll punch the pillow and they won't punch walls and break things. But you now just further enabled them to get away with a bad habit. You enabled them. And not only did you further enable them, you almost made it worse. Because at least when they punch the wall, their hand would hurt after a certain point and they'd stop. But it doesn't hurt when they punch a pillow. So take the pillow out of the way. Put your head in the way.
You're just rewarding them for their bad behavior.
This is how I see liberals in my head. They'll walk along and see a butterfly stuck in a spider nest and go, oh, I need to save the butterfly. And they pull it out of the nest and let the butterfly go and thinking that they did a good thing. But they just starved a spider of a couple days worth of food. So here's the point. They're already showing you that they're not coming with logic. They're just coming based on their emotions. My point is they're coming leading with their emotions, whereas the other side is leading with logic. Hey, what about the spider? The spider needs to eat. The spider did its thing and its web would just sat there. The butterfly should have known better. But you have to emotionally explain away why the butterfly should actually be let go.
And you can interject when you want, but this is also very important because you are human, which means you are the only thing that disturbs the laws of nature. This is why I say that we are quite literally gods. Why we say that, because we have the power to make a difference and tend to whatever we think is necessary, which means...
So, this is the way I picture nature, and this is true whether you want to believe it's true or not. Nature is just repeating cycles of what I would call equilibrium. Equilibrium in an environment. Equilibrium in environments all over the world. The simplest way I can explain this equilibrium is this. You have a population of foxes and you have a population of rabbits. The population of rabbits goes all the way up here. All of a sudden now you can have this many foxes. Well, crap. Now that you have this many foxes, they're going to be eating a lot of rabbits. So now the rabbits fall down to here. Well, now when the rabbits are here, the foxes don't have enough rabbits to eat, and the foxes fall to here. Well, now that the foxes are here, the rabbits have more room, so they grow. Well, now that the rabbits have grown, the foxes grow, and you see the point. I see nature as just endless repeating patterns and cycles on smaller and smaller and smaller levels. All the way from a bacteria decomposing, waste, all the way up to a eagle taking a fish out of the water. These things are just predator and prey in a lot of cases. And this is mostly for carnivorous animals, animals that eat other animals, not necessarily like herbivores that eat plants. But that's also cycles. If there's horses in the plains of the West, and they're this much, and the amount of grass that they can eat is this much, well, now there can be a little bit more horses. But now that there's more horses, the grass drops down. Now there's not enough grass. Horses starve. Horses are now down here. Grass grows. Same cycle. Everything is just repeating cycles. In a way, to an extent, all of these things can be, on a macro level, can just be averaged out in a graph. They're just endless cycles that are repeating unless disturbed by, you could say, an earthly force, like such as a hurricane or a volcano eruption, tidal wave, whatever you want to say. Massive catastrophic events, we'll call them that. Where we come along is the fact that we are equipped in a human animal body, so just by the fact that we're human, we're predisposed to these same cycles and patterns based on our animal nature. But we have something in our heads called a consciousness that allows us to break that cycle of almost yin and yang.
Yeah.
We possess this ability to say, wait a minute, actually, we're going to do this. Now, at the end of the day, we still have to follow those laws. Like, we still have to decompose nutrients back into the soil so that plants can grow and give us food back. Like, we still have to follow by their laws. But the fact that we have the ability to step outside of those laws in here, I would equate to godlike powers, because you have to be honest that we're just minerals, or so we're told. We're just minerals and atoms of different elements put together in a certain order based on our DNA code or whatever they say. And somehow that gives you consciousness. Our consciousness is our most powerful ability. It's not our muscles. It's not our
It's your ability
deadlift.
to control the only thing you truthfully have control over. It's your own responsibilities that you should be tending to when necessary, and either making an impact or being the impact. I'm not quite sure how I should have said that, but
I want to add in too, he said a good thing, the only thing that you have control over. What I basically wanted to explain with these cycles of nature is you don't have control over them. They're going to take place regardless of whether or not you believe in them. The oxidation on your skin making you look older and grayer, that's happening right now. You can't argue that we basically live in this universe where things are followed based on certain principles, or I call them laws of the universe, laws of nature. But the only thing that we see that breaks that code, or breaks that order, is our consciousness. Your consciousness has the ability to interject and say, wait a minute, actually, I want it to happen this way.
isn't it funny that people want to say their body, their temple, and stuff like that, yet they have pushed people to the point of literally deforming themselves and having them just literally cope with their own inability to be themselves. In the sense of helping them at least go back to the root of what could have been their problem.
A lot of it is being abused as a kid or not touched as a kid.
Yeah.
I would argue another big factor that nobody would even think to look at is diet.
Yeah.
Or television.
I will say this, though. I think that's important to focus on is the environment that they grow in has a very large role on how they're going to be put. And I will say, school for some people can be fucking brutal. School can be very harsh to some people. And I have a feeling that a lot of that has to do with people being bullied or looked as different. And then being a victim to it because that's all they know what to do. They don't choose to change anything rather than please the crowd.
Well, that's something that I learned about myself coming out of high school, is that I just became exactly what the school wanted you to be, a people pleaser.
Yeah.
Show up, do what you're told, don't talk back, and go home. Like, obedient is the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, okay, wait a minute. If I don't start standing up for myself or saying the things that I believe in, or saying no, that's the most important thing. No is a big fucking thing to learn. You won't ever have an opportunity to create anything for yourself, because you're just going to be exactly what they all want you to be.
You know what's funny as well is when you think about school, all they do is provide you with the questions and never let you actually ask them. And it always has to be exactly about what they want it to be about, the subject that you're in.
We can all recall a time where some smart ass student asked the teacher a question that they just didn't know the answer of, and the teacher got flustered over it.
Yeah.
Consider this. If you ask a question in the wrong way or the wrong tone, you get reprimanded for it. But here's to further my point. If you were told, hey, by the way, we found out the property tax assessors in your county were overvaluing properties so that they could push more money into the school districts. I would be concerned if you didn't have like an emotional response to that. Like, wait, you mean they're stealing our money and putting it in their retirements? And that's why my property taxes are so high? That's why we're paying $800 a month in rent to the state to live on 5 acres? And full stop. In 2018, I was paying $500 a month for rent. What happened?
Yeah.
You're going to just tell me in 6 years things just quadrupled in price?
And that it's normal. Not ask any questions and just go by the system.
We're
and
just not
think.
Consider this. You're like almost frowned upon if you talk about politics or things at work. Why do they not want you talking about politics? Why are you not allowed to talk about pay? I don't know. It's a tough situation we find ourselves in.
It is.
But this is to further our point. You don't have to deal with any of this shit when you're working for yourselves. And I don't believe in HR personally, because I feel like if you're working with a whole bunch of adults, especially in something like in a setting where there's clients or customers around, people should know how to fucking behave. And if one does misbehave, you don't need an HR team. Let me be very clear. HR doesn't care about you. HR cares about protecting the company. And if it's between protecting you or protecting the company, who do you think they're going to pick? Do you think they're going to go, oh, we like you so much as an employee, we're actually going to choose your side in this? Or are they just going to say, yeah, we don't agree, you're actually being let go? I don't even know why I have to ask this right now, but like, this isn't even up for debate. HR is not in place to protect you. It's in place to protect the company from you.
Yeah. I've had it happen to me firsthand.
I don't want to work somewhere where I feel like there's policemen of the place that I work at. I might as well go work at a fucking gulag.
They get paid a lot more than you. And it's quite literally to do almost nothing.
I'm going out and putting on a good face for the client and putting my neck on the line for the company and providing good experiences and you could say products for the client. They're policing me. That's their job. Their job is to police me while I go make them money. Why am I having this conversation right now? When I become a business owner, I'm not going to have an HR because I don't pay people to do nothing. And you're not going to sit here and convince me that there's 40 hours of HR work to do every single week for 50 weeks a year. And I say 50 because 2 weeks vacation, 10 days. Or you could say holidays even. Holidays and vacation, it usually adds up to about 49, 50 weeks a year. You can't convince me of it because I know what 50 weeks of fucking 40 hours a week feels like for how many years in a row now? Like probably 10 years, 11 years, 12 years.
Longer than that, yeah.
I've been doing this for a while. You have to believe me on that. And this boy over here has been putting in the fucking work too.
I want to say that I'm not necessarily trying to beat down on HR, but my whole point is these people aren't working as hard as the people actually doing the work and making everything function. How about this? Think of it like this.
HR should bring me fucking coffee then.
How about this? Everyone that's in the workplace stops working for a day. Let's see how production runs. Everybody in HR stops working for a fucking day. Let's see how production runs. Everything still gets done.
Isn't that crazy? Because it never mattered about who said something to someone in a cubicle and someone overheard it. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that the client is happy and you get fucking paid. End of story. Why do you need policemen to watch over your business like almost guards over your slaves? I hate that feeling. And honestly, I don't know anybody personally who likes HR. It's only the company that does. And you have to consider this. This is a fact. HR does not make the company money. If you are in a production role, actively doing things for clients or customers and making money for your company, that's different. They're not doing that. So how do you think they're getting paid? Yeah, come on. Think about it. Think about it. Just think about it. If they're not making the company money, the company looks at you and goes, well, we could pay him double his wage, or we could hire an HR person and pay them both the same wage. One will make us the money, one will police the guy making the money. And I know someone's going to say, oh, HR does more than that. Okay. I'm going to make a business without HR just to prove to you how efficient a business can be when you don't have HR and how much you can pay your employees when you don't have HR. That's the real kicker.
Yeah.
And, why'd they leave? I don't know why that person left. I know why they left. More money. And you can't pay more money if you're hiring more HR people. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Because one is bringing a burden to the company in terms of revenue, and the other is adding revenue.
And this is what's funny as well. The difference of the worker and the HR person comes to one of them had the money and the guts to go to college and to go get a piece of paper that says they can sit on a computer all day and do their fucking job. Which means clicking buttons and seeing things. Video games is a good example. I mean, shit, you can play video games, which means you're prone to be able to learn a computer. You can't tell me you cannot train someone within 1 fucking year to do that job efficiently who really wanted to do it. You just can't. It's made up.
So, this brings me into a good point. I have a lot of fucking hobbies. And, someone could look at me flying my drone or my plane and go, how do you do that? How do you know how to do that? They could look at me wakeboarding and say, how do you know how to do that? Look at me skiing. How do you know how to do that? Snowmobiling, welding, any of these things. I came to realize that anybody can learn anything they want to for the most part. I truthfully hold this belief that anybody can learn anything, but you're misguided in what you're interested in because of the environment that you're put in.
Yeah.
If you put me in a college dorm room, let's say in the middle of nowhere, like in a college town in the middle of nowhere, and say you're not allowed to live with any of friends, but we're going to put this PS5 in your room and connect it up to the internet and give you any game you want. Like, I guess what I'm getting at is, of course I'm going to learn it. Like,
well, how about this? This is what's funny too, is I got this because of you, but generally most people want to put their interests into a higher paying job before going to college and stuff like that because they at first have hopes in themselves because they have only heard about the good things of how life can be. So
PS5 is that if you put me in that environment, that's what I'm going to find interesting. So this is a matter of putting yourself in unfamiliar environments, which might be uncomfortable, but that's where you start to learn that in a way you can find most things to be fun if you allow them to be.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of getting yourself out of the environment that you're putting yourself in. So me in that college dorm, I mean, if I got none of my friends there and I got nothing really going on in my life other than college, of course I'm going to find the PS5 interesting. But now that I've shifted my focus and my goals in my life, the PS5 is nowhere near as interesting as it was when I was in college. And I had a PS4 then, but the analogy stands true. Like, video games ain't like that to me anymore. And this is coming from someone who's probably spent over 10,000 hours of their life on video games, which is considered mastery level. Like, I done mastered it. What else is there to do? Now it's just leisure, because when I was younger, I had something to prove. Oh yeah, I could vote quick scope and shit like that. Now it's just in leisure time with friends. Like, I don't play competitively.
No, not whatsoever. We very rarely play video games.
And if anything were to be competitive, maybe Smash Bros or something. But that's different.
Yeah.
That's different. That's got fucking 10 years of history.
I want to play somebody.
That's almost got, bro, between us playing Smash Bros, that's like 8 years now.
Yeah, bro.
8 or 9 years.
I want somebody to comment. I would fucking love to just play some random.
Yeah, if anyone here plays Smash Bros, you got to drop your username on, what would it be, Nintendo or Switch?
Yeah, Nintendo Switch.
Drop your username. We'll run it back. We'll see about it.
Oh, I'm down, dude. I ain't gonna say what character I use. You're just gonna have to see.
Thinks they'd be pretty surprised at what character I use.
I think so.
Maybe not.
I think so. But honestly, what really is even going on here in the first place is these are just the discussions we got. These are what we talk about. These are just people tuning in to listen to us. This is the shit we talk about. We actually care about this kind of stuff. And we talk about it for hours a day.
So I'm going to add to that. How many people do you know that question the things that are said, or question the things that are believed even?
Extensively.
And I'm not saying the moon's made out of cheese, and I'm not even saying the world is flat. I'm just saying in the sense of, why do we get vaccines every year for no apparent reason when we're completely healthy children? Why are these certain chemicals found in our food that should not be in human food?
And how come life has existed before vaccines?
And we're told that millions of people died in this bubonic plague. And I will say this, in World War II, I believe, a lot of people died from the Spanish flu.
Yeah.
They claim tens of millions, I think 60 million people worldwide. That might be way too many, I don't know. 6 million, I don't know.
Going a little off topic, but a lot of them also died from typhus.
So these are just normal questions. You have to ask yourself, this is the interesting part. When someone's your enemy, at least you know that they are your enemy. The issue is that there's a lot of people that are pretending to be your friend and pretending to care about you. And then when you look away, go do your job every day and do your part, they're behind closed doors laughing at you. Because you think that what you're doing is somehow making the world better.
They've even put in place today in society where it is very normal to kind of try to disregard your own family and to spend most of your time in your room and to have not as much trust as you could put in them as you do your friends. And I just think that's absolutely terrible. That it comes down to you trusting other people rather than your own people who you only have at the end of the day. You should be able to count on your family and be able to call them at any time. If my mother ever calls me, I've never denied a phone call from my mother. I always pick it up no matter what I'm doing. You can carry that on your back all your life and it's going to get you nowhere, but make it much heavier and much harder for you to walk down the road. How come you need somebody to think for you and not for yourself? And actually just be happy with who you are and deal with what you've got. It makes no sense how it's, other people's faults, or I need to surgically fuck myself up in order to feel better. It doesn't make any sense.
And you just said it. It's all about feelings. And feelings don't build rockets. Feelings don't build guns. Feelings don't innovate. Logic does all of that. Consciousness does all of that. And the further we delve into these depths of, oh, I feel like I want to be this. I feel like I want to be this. I quite literally tell people, if I did whatever I wanted to do, whenever I wanted to do it, I would be homeless under a bridge right now, addicted to drugs. That's where that path leads you. You cannot do whatever you want to do, whenever you want to do it, whenever you feel like you want to do it. I can't even believe I have to say this, but in a way, our parents never taught us this.
Yeah.
Because we grew up seeing them do whatever they wanted to do because they had complete control over their lives. Oh, I'm going to eat this food when I want to. I'm going to drink this when I want to. Oh, I'm going to download this thing when I want to. Everything was want. Then I asked this question. And see, this goes back to the point before. Nobody you talk to asks these questions. Do you think that your body wants to take the next breath that you are going to take? Or does it need to take that breath? It needs to take that breath. So why are you operating on all of your wants instead of the needs? And you might go, well, what are the needs? The need is that you need to fulfill your soul because you know this for a fact. You don't get fulfillment by going to a job for 40 hours a week and doing what you're told to put your head down and do what they say. And I love doing what I do for my job. But it's the whole point of they have complete control over me exactly when they want to, when they need to, when it's convenient for them. And if I say no, there's the door. Isn't that convenient? I'm willing to put everything I have on the line, and all they're willing to put on the line is the fucking door out. And this is the deal. I don't want to not work. I want to work, but alongside people that I have a sense of community with. And I'm not saying that I don't have a sense of community of people where I work now. It's the fact that that fucking community is controlled by police within the company. It has to be, because that's the environment that they've created. And I don't even know, dude. It's
Well, see, everyone's so hung up on their feelings as well on a deeper level. And it's like you've told me, if someone's really depressed and they're going through the woods and a bear is walking up to them, do you really think that they're going to sit there and think, well, I'm so depressed, I guess I might as well let this bear eat me? Or do you think that person's going to run and try to survive and do everything that they can to not be depressed anymore?
All of a sudden, they're not so depressed anymore.
It's wild. How does that work?
How can they could be depressed for years, be walking out in the woods and see a bear walking up. If you're going to sit there and pretend like they would let themselves get eaten by the bear, you're delusional. And all of a sudden, guess what? It took one event for them to take themselves mentally out of the environment that they've locked themselves in for all of these months, for them to get out of it.
There was a time, and we keep going.
I was just going to say, your environment is just as important as your mindset, because you're creating the environment in your head as well. You're experiencing this environment and you're also experiencing this environment. So the bear might be able to change that for a short period of time, but if he's left to his own devices, he's going to return to the environment that he feels comfortable in. Life is about getting uncomfortable. The reason I know how to do a lot of things is because I got uncomfortable and started doing something I had no idea how to fucking do. The reason I know that I can do something before ever doing it is because it's regular ass people that are building military technology. If you're going to sit here and pretend it's some dude that's writing like 13 whiteboards in a college room that's making military technology, like out on the factory floor, I'm talking, you're dumb. It's regular people. I'm a regular person. He's a regular person. You're a regular person watching this. Because you have a consciousness, because you can listen and process the words that I'm saying right now, you can make a conscious choice to say I can instead of I can't. That's where all of this leads to. We're here because we can.
How about this?
We can be. That's how.
There was a point in history where it was the best thing ever to have a child. And now they have brought it to a point where it is an option. And I just thought of this. Isn't it funny that that's an act out of the laws of nature? You're going out of your way to get rid of a parasite, they call it, with things they do not understand or what they do with.
If you believe the things that we're talking about right now to be true, and you were like, damn, I believe not everything, but like, if you're on the same wavelength as us, you need to have as many children as possible, as soon as fucking possible, as you can in your own, what would I call it? In your own environment, or like where you're at in life. We need to outpopulate these people. That's the only way you can do it. That's it. Mm-hmm. You have to outpopulate them.
What I was going to say earlier was they're giving you the choice within the system that's not within the laws of nature itself. So their morals are coming from bad faith from the start.
Imagine being so into the system that you believe a living human being inside of a mother is considered a parasite. I'm not saying you. I'm saying more so, there's people out there that take on that mindset. And you have to understand, if they are willing to call a baby that they've never even met, has done nothing wrong to them, a parasite, what do you think they're going to call you and do to you if they had full power over you? And here's the deal. You're a good person probably watching this. I feel as if I'm a good person. I feel as if you're a good person. The reason I bring this up is because we don't want to control others. We don't want to have to take out the whip and say, fuck off. But that's the point you've gotten us to. That's literally where I'm at this point, where I'm taking out the fucking belt and I'm like, all right, this shit needs to be done with, because the fact that I'm even getting here in front of a camera in the first place to say these things shows you how bad it is, because I could be doing better things as a 26-year-old deep in my career living on a farm. But instead I'm talking to a fucking camera right now.
Yeah.
Telling you these things because for every one of these videos, there's 10 billion fucking YouTube shorts of brain rot or TikTok brain rot. So what if there's brain rot? But this is the journey to making conscious decisions. And stop operating on emotions and whatever the fuck you feel like.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best way you could possibly say it. It's all about just bearing your own responsibility and not putting that burden on anybody else.
I do all of my own work on my truck because that doesn't give me the excuse to go blame somebody else when something gets fucked up. If my truck gets fucked up, the only person who's ever worked on it is me. I can't blame a single person except for myself. You know me well. I'm a DIYer. I do things myself because then I can't blame somebody else for it going wrong. And at least what is in my control is in my control. And if I fuck up, I fucked up. I don't care. But the fact that we're going to sit here and go, oh, we're just going to give control of our entire lives to this group of people that doesn't care about us. And we're just going to sit here and go to our jobs every day while they just do what?
Like, most people don't even know that a lot of people died from COVID because of the lack of sunlight they were getting in the first place. It's not natural for that kind of shit to happen. We can manifest the things that we want, but we're also destroying ourselves in the process. And the proof is already there. We've lost touch with the past and the present, and it's clear as day. I guess just try to take into consideration the amount of time that you're actually given throughout your life, most of it being seized by what other people want from you and expect you to do. And it becomes a pattern at that point of expectations that are supposed to align the stars. And that's not good because life is supposed to be about things that we do not entirely understand in the first place because we still don't. Yet we've created a solution to where we do.
Everything's perfect. You have food, you have water, you have shelter. Just go to your job. We'll take care of the rest. We'll study all the science. We'll take care of your retirement. We'll take care of your health care and your insurance. We'll do everything for you. All that we're asking is that you go to this job for 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year for 40 years. That's your life. That isn't just 40 years, 40 hours a week, 5 days a week. That's your life. I think people would be truly shocked if they found out how many people in America have a job just dealing with money or just managing money, any of those things. Insurance related or government related, I think people would be shocked.
Yeah.
Because they would go, holy shit. 33% of the workforce doesn't actually produce a single thing. They just manage the people actually producing.
Yeah.
The people actually doing.
And for the people that think this is crazy, the way I've heard it is to call somebody crazy is dismissive, and maybe it's you who is ill in the environment, not us. We're just asking questions. And we've come to some solutions. And the lines have connected, and it's not good. The dots have connected, and it's not good.
Consider this thought. When I think of home, I think about the town that I live in and more so the property that I live on and the people that live around me and the people that I surround myself with. When most people hear the word home in America, the first thing that pops into their minds is the four walls that separate them from the entire rest of the world. And I know I've said this before, maybe this will be the first time you've heard me say it. If they can get you alone in a room, away from everybody else, they can make you do whatever they need you to do. And therefore, you're just an actor in a system that you don't know. You don't see the bigger picture. You just think you're doing your part because that's what's required of you. But they got a lot of shit going on behind closed doors. And we're not going to like to hear all of that. And I can't even begin to explain the shit that I've researched on.
Yeah.
But going back to this point about home, we need to start making home community again. You know that feeling when you were, let's say, playing football in high school and you had all those brothers around you? Or you were playing track or wrestling? Not playing, but more so doing track and doing wrestling. That was the community that you were raised in, even though it was in a school, which sucks as much as it does. You had a okay community if you got along well with those people. And it felt good to have those people around you because it made you, I don't know, feel like you had a place in the world.
Yeah.
But then when you graduate, you go immediately from that to living in a closed box, maybe with a roommate. And then after that, you go to living in a closed box, maybe with a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And then maybe with a family in the future if it ever gets to that point. But it's hard to get to that point when you just segregated yourself from every single other person who made you who you are. And to sit here and pretend that you are the way that you are and other people had no effect on you is foolish because you're a product of the 5 people that you listen to or surround yourself with the most.
Yeah.
In a way, yes, part of you is, actually most of you is unique, but I don't think anybody can argue our sharp edges are rounded off by the people that we surround ourselves with. That's
Yeah.
what I believe. And we need each other more than ever because they're getting away with more than ever based off the fact that they're fucking putting you alone in a house and making you think that that's what home means. Home is not that. Home is where you come home to an area where you can see your friends within close distances with each other and not have stressful and tense environments. That's for out of home. Save that for all out there. Home is the one place that you can control and make nice. And you have to be wary of them putting you in situations to manipulate what you think home is.
Yeah.
And go on.
And this is not to try to say anything. It's terrible to just stay home and blah, blah, blah. But our point is really, it's not the best use of your ability as a man or for a woman's interest to stay at home, watch a movie every single day. You're quite literally falling into the I'm not saying that women are trying to manipulate you, but at the same time, they're distracting you at the things that could be a better use of your ability.
They're not. Consider this. You have ambitions to make things. You have ambitions to make money, more money. You have ambitions to make a better version of yourself even. They have ambitions to watch movies with you, to watch shows with you, to play cards with you. Their ambitions involve your time, focus, and energy, not building things, not creating things, not bringing to the world. It's, whose time can I occupy?
It's like they don't even believe you because they rather watch the life that they want rather than have you go do it for their own reason.
Holy shit. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
I've never fucking thought that before.
Fucking decent.
Holy shit.
Bro, they rather watch you fucking watch the life they want rather than have you actually fucking have it.
You've never heard that shit before. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's fucking deep. We going, baby. We going.
Boys, you have to understand that if you make girls your purpose, you have no purpose. You need a purpose outside of women entirely. And the reason this is important is because what we're saying, for every hour you spend watching TV or movies or Netflix is every hour that you could have spent making more money, making a better version of yourself, creating things, inventing things, coming up with new ideas just like he just did there. If we wouldn't have had this conversation, I would have never had that thought. Or many thoughts that I've said throughout this in the exact way that I said then. And actually, I'm going to like to have this on recording because a lot of the things that I've said, I don't remember the exact way I said it, but when it's shit like that and it rings true, it's important to know exactly the way that you said those things.
Yeah.
That's a code breaker right there. When some guy hears that, it's undeniable. Oh my God. She is quite literally watching the life that she wants while you're sitting there coddling her.
Because she wants two things at once.
It's okay, baby.
And then what? You think that sex is just going to spark back up out of the blue thinking about the life she does want in the first place? I don't think so. They get bored. They know what they're going to expect. I am going to make dinner. I am going to watch a movie with him. Watch all the things I could have had. And then go to bed and repeat the same.
We're not saying that every single minute of your time has to be spent doing things that are productive. But you're not going to sit here and argue that you'd rather watch a movie with some hot male actor and your girl watching the life that she wished she could be in. So you telling me that you'd rather do that rather than take your girl four-wheeling or, I don't know, riding on a motorcycle or out for a walk, whatever you want to call it. My point is that because we're put in this environment where movies and Netflix are the things that are pushed onto them and then pushed onto you. And you think, okay, well, I'm just going to do what she says because maybe I'll have sex after.
I know what I was going to say.
If anything, you should be the one to say yes or no, is sex going to happen tonight? That should be your call.
It should. You're given into temptations. And what I was going to say earlier was the most important thing is this type of conversation and the ideas that are coming about are just from two people having a conversation, and you guys just so happen to be able to listen to it. But my point is, what is so bad about this? There's nothing bad about asking questions because we have a right.
Feelings got hurt because we said mean things about not wanting to watch TV.
Her feelings?
Oh my God.
Feelings?
Fuck. I'm going to jail.
Yeah,
dude, you gotta hide me, man.
Yeah.
They know I'm here.
Fuck.
Guys, we're not trying to be assholes. We're just quite literally saying, what the fuck are we doing? You're telling me the best thing that our parents' generation could come up with, which is, like, this is true. Our parents' generation, and kind of like a little bit underneath them, created this world we live in. I had no fucking say in any of this stuff up until about, I'd say, a year or year and a half ago, when it started directly affecting me based on where I was at in my life. Up until then, I didn't really have a say because I was just a young kid just fucking existing in the system. And the reason I bring this up is because this is what they left us. They left us girls that are addicted to pills and girls that
don't want to have babies.
Don't want to have babies. They're all on birth control. Okay, so what if they want to take all birth control? Well, that's an issue because as much as they want to tell you that jobs are getting less and less, there's more and more things. There is ever more jobs than we've needed ever than before right now. We literally have the most jobs available on the history of the planet right fucking now. And they're going to try to convince you, don't have kids, they aren't going to have jobs, blah, 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 all this other stuff.
How about this? I want you to put yourself in this type of situation. You're sitting there at your job interview. You are ready for the job and capable to do it. And then there's another dude sitting next to you who's going for a separate job. And you get your job, you make $80K a year. Great, that's awesome. Now you overhear what's going on at the other interview, and you hear them saying, yeah, I can run into Walmart and piss people off and get kicked out. And they say, fuck, you're hired. Let's give you $1 million. Does that sound right to you? They do these interviews closed door for a reason. To fuck you from the start. So you guys can't talk about it from the get-go. Do you really think you can sit there comfortably knowing a dude can literally get kicked out from fucking places and make more money than you? That's ridiculous. That shit pisses me off.
And someone could easily argue, oh, well, prostitution is the oldest job, and are you going to go tell a prostitute to not be a prostitute because she can make more money than me being a teacher?
I'd tell her no for the same reason I'd tell someone to stop taking antidepressants. It's not good for you. It's giving you bad habits. Stop relying on a pill. That's what I would say.
We know it's bad. And you know it's bad. You know how, this is how I know it's bad. Because people don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
They'll sit here and say, oh, it's good that you're on antidepressants and that you're taking your medication. But they won't talk about it.
You make their paycheck higher.
They won't fucking talk about it. But we're sitting here going, wait a minute. Are these pills actually doing anything? They're not. Are these doctors actually helping you? They're not. Dude, I think I barely know you and I care more about you. I do, because I'm talking to this camera here for fucking free. He got paid to give you those pills that don't work. He got paid to give you the information that he read in the textbook 20 years ago. The world's changing quickly. Our parents left us behind a very old and clunky world that is straight up, I don't even think you could put it into a single video how fucked up the world is that we're being left behind. But here's where it's important. What are we being left behind? We're being left behind women who, for the most part, are on a ton of antipsychotic, antidepressant drugs, anti-anxiety drugs. A ton of them are on birth control. Plus, on top of that, They're being fed social media, so now they're taking that out on you. Hey, this is how we should be doing this. Hey, I want this, do this, do this. Do you think, okay, actually, let me back up quick. You probably don't know us as people that well, but let me just preface this by saying, if I had the chance to meet one person ever in the history of humans, Nikola Tesla, hands down. Do you think Nikola Tesla created AC electricity by watching fucking movies with his girlfriend in bed? Do you think he invented it by watching TikToks with her? Or maybe he invented it by, I don't know, taking her out to dinner. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do those things, but I'm saying you have to start to question and go, why am I so accustomed to everything taking my time and me not being upset about it? That's what you need to ask. Because here's my point to further this. You're going to turn 60 someday if you make it that age, and you're going to go, where the hell did all this time go? And you're going to quite literally realize it was wasted doing nothing. It was wasted running on a hamster wheel. Honestly, in a way, I think that's how our parents even leave us this world in the first place, because they were running on the hamster wheel too. And I can't believe it, but it takes two 26-year-old guys to sit here in front of a camera and go, something is not right.
Yeah, and I want to point something out, and this is important because we are not particularly aiming our audience to male. We are actually, in fact, just speaking to the people. We're not trying to screw somebody over. We're really just down-to-earth people trying to help everybody else out by at least, we don't have some type of solution, but we're definitely coming up with a lot.
We're working on it. And we got solutions to many things that have been stated so far.
The easiest way to have that happen is to at least let the audience be engaged in the first place. We're not here to put anybody down. We're just helping open your eyes and showing you the door and letting you hopefully walk through. We're not trying to be assholes.
And yes, I might be using crass wording from time to time, but you have to understand, I'm upset about this because I came to these realizations and realized I can't do anything about this unless I tell you and tell you and tell every person I know. Because when you're faced with the fact that, hey, if you were able to live close to all of your best friends and not have to be tied down specifically to a 40-hour work week job where an employer controls the way you think and yada, 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 and all these other things, like not have to pay mandatory car insurance, not have to pay property taxes. These are all things that can be easily fixed. If I said, hey, you could have that life or this one right now, what would you choose? And no person arguing in good faith could say that they would choose the life that right now. And if they did say they choose the life right now, that tells you everything that you need to know about that person. Because I'm asking for change. That change comes from us. It's not going to come from the government. The government's not going to come knocking on your door someday and go, yeah, actually, we're going to just not do property taxes anymore. We just don't feel like it. And you know the mandatory health insurance that we make you pay? You can make your own health insurance now and you can manage that. Oh, and you know your car registration that you have to pay every year? We're doing away with that. Oh, and you know the tolls that you pay on the interstate? We're doing away with that. They're never going to do it unless we do. Your conscious ability is what gives you the fucking right and power to do it in the first place.
I just don't understand how people can sit there and not question the ability to be able to guess that the world is not going to head in a good direction going down this path, considering things are only getting worse and things are only being more corrupt.
Do you think that's an accident?
I don't think so.
Guys, we're here because we care about ourselves, we care about our friends and family, we care about the well-being of society as a whole. If you saw a parent giving their kid a bucket of candy, like a literal fucking 5-gallon bucket of candy for their dinner, you would say that kid needs to be taken away from that parent. That parent needs to be locked in jail. Now look at the fucking government and do the comparison in your head. It's not very hard to draw the comparison there.
Yeah.
Quite literally, you would say this parent is incompetent. Clearly, this parent can't be trusted. Someone get a new parent in there. We need new parents. But it's going to take some fucking balls, literally, to get to that point where people will start standing up for themselves. And this is the important part. Notice how all of their agenda tells you to shut up, put your head down, and don't worry about it. And all of our agenda so far says, pick your head up, put your shoulders back, look people in the fucking eye, and say things and mean them. That quite literally tells you exactly everything you need to know about us and everything that you need to know about them and their intentions and our intentions. Our intentions, at the end of the day, if you listen to them, make you stronger, make you stand up for yourself, make the world a better place because you're standing up for yourself. The longer that you allow them to infiltrate your mind, the deeper, I would argue, the farther away you get from escaping.
Yeah.
We're lucky that we were able to realize this in our early 20s and not be too deep to the point where we're so far into the system, basically at our chin, that we can't do anything about it. We're here because we can do something about it. That's our whole fucking point with all of this, honestly. We're here because we can do something about it, and you're watching it because you can do something about it too. Pick up the mirror. We picked up the mirror. We had to look at ourselves and go, hey, I've been lied to. They're not my friends. I care more about me than the government cares about me.
You'll feed yourself every day.
I would feed you quicker than the government would feed you. I would give you the clothes off of my back quicker than the government would give you the clothes off their back. They wouldn't give you anything.
And it all comes to having responsibility, but really what responsibility means is having your words carry the weight. Saying hollow words does nothing. When you say you're going to do something and you don't, that's a hollow word. It all comes down to saying something and rewarding yourself in your brain with that release of dopamine of, I said what I was going to do and I did it. It all comes down to just responsibility. That's it. That's like the main thing I've been saying. It's about responsibility, taking care of yourself and doing something to just help somebody else. Not be selfish and live for something greater than yourself. And not just think about how you feel and yourself in general, because it gets you nowhere.
That leads me to this point now. We all need to collectively do things without an expectation of return. In the literal sense of, when I pay my taxes, I don't expect to get them back. But I hope that they're going to the right causes, because that's what I've been told. I don't know, it'll be interesting to see if anyone makes it this far.
And I hope that if people have made it this far, please feel free to stay engaged and ask questions, because by doing that, you truthfully can support us in the sense of a YouTube community, but you could support us by helping us come to the different conclusions that we try to draw the lines to, of the different points that make sense to us and the things that we go into and try to figure out.
We didn't wake up one day and just know all of this or feel this way one day. Part of it maybe would have happened in a day, but all of this together is the way that we've lived and carried ourselves now for a year and a half, almost 2 years.
And the things we've touched on have only been the top of the surface. There are so much more things that we would love to go into and the things that we know about. If I could show you the whiteboard right now, you would be a different person at the end of the day if you heard anything that we really had to say.
So consider this too. We could be playing video games right now. We could be at a restaurant eating dinner. We could be at the casino. We could be at the bar. But instead we're home Friday night where we get a little bit of free time so we can sit here and talk to a camera. Because us talking to a camera and potentially getting people to listen to this message and consider taking changes in their own life is more important than going to the bar. It's more important than watching sports. It's more important than caring about what a celebrity did with their tits. Like, I'm so tired of this world where we're almost pushed like nonsense media to cover up all of the actual bad that is occurring. And you have to ask yourself, all of us know a lot of people. And I would say for the most part, if you're from small town America, you probably hold the opinion that most people are good.
Yeah.
And that most people don't want to actively harm others. So then you have to ask yourself, well, who are the people that want to actively harm others? And my answer to that would be, look at your government. Look at our government. And we're just saying, oh yeah, you can do bad to all those people in the Middle East, all those people in South America, all those people in Asia and Russia. But we know that you're going to take care of us.
And I know.
Do you hear yourselves?
Right. And I know that people will probably sit there and be like, well, you're just speaking in front of a camera. Well, how about this? It's a lot harder than it looks. And I dare you to try to make a video of you saying something even remotely interesting enough for people to stay engaged and listen to in the first place. Have something worth saying while you're sitting there typing it. Our time is being used effectively by speaking to thousands of people, hopefully. That's a huge impact that we can make just by one video.
How I know that you are on the right... How I will know that you're on the right wavelength is when you start hearing things like this. Hey, did you hear Drake dropped a new album? Oh. What, you didn't hear he was going to drop a new album? No, I mean, I don't really care. When you get to that point, come talk to me.
Yeah.
Because, how about this? You're quite literally telling me that Drake dropped a new album when there's a fire in the fucking room that we're standing in. You asking me if I heard the new Drake album is me looking over in the trench and seeing a tranny playing with their tits as the enemy's rolling in. I don't care about Drake. You don't care about Drake. And listen to me. I'm not saying this to be mean. You only care about Drake because the media that has been presented to you makes it seem like people care about Drake. And your friends think, oh, well, people care about Drake. So if I care about Drake in front of my friends, then they'll know that I care about Drake. You're a bot. Okay, Drake can make good music. So what?